Okay, wanted to talk about something I just saw or heard, whatever. I was listening to Chris Williams' show, the Modern Wisdom show, podcast, YouTube channel, whatever it's called. And he was interviewing somebody named Joe Hudson, I think. And it was so cool. He was talking about the types of emotions that we as kind of pleasure-seeking animals try to avoid. You know, if you as a particular individual really want to avoid rejection, let's say, that we then subconsciously, in our efforts to avoid rejection, we end up inviting it. Another one would be embarrassment. If you are really trying to avoid being embarrassed, then you do things that the actions you take to avoid that embarrassment end up leading you to be more likely to be embarrassed. And it's a really wild concept. Like, I was thinking about it, and right away it hit me. I was like, yeah, like I can see it. And with the rejection one, it was like, oh, if you're afraid of rejection, maybe when you see it coming, you start to kind of get cold and withdraw because you don't want to be rejected, and so you end up like building this emotional wall, and that leads you to be more likely to be rejected, to be abandoned. And so you have this weird relationship where your actions to avoid a bad emotion, an uncomfortable emotion, end up bringing about that bad emotion. Another one was like if you want to avoid physical exertion, like if you don't like working out, like you don't like the feeling of having to work hard physically, well, the action of then avoiding anything like that, avoiding working out, will actually create a life for you where everything is hard because you become weak. And then everything you're doing is hard physical work as opposed to just your workout. That's crazy. What was another one that I was thinking of? Failure. This one's good for me. Okay, so I generally have a fear of failure. And I think it's related to abandonment. I think a lot of these things are related to like being rejected. But thinking about failure, like I don't have to say if, I am afraid of failing at something. And it has to do with like, oh, I'm gonna be seen as imperfect, as like, oh, I can fail, and you did fail, and all these things. And so the way that I avoid that is by not trying, which by definition is like the worst failure that you could do, is like not even an attempt. Like that is way worse than attempting something and not succeeding at it. So by sitting on the sidelines, I subject myself to the one thing I'm trying to avoid. That's crazy town. That's crazy town. Now, on to the important part here, and that is what to do about it. And the way that he describes that you break that cycle is that you have to do the opposite. You have to seek out the thing that you're trying to avoid, and not only seek it out, you have to like look forward to it. Like say that you want it, and you have to jump out there and do it. And so if you're afraid of embarrassment, then you have to go out and like you have to put yourself in a situation where you could be rejected. And well, That's it. Because if I look for it and if I do it, then it stops controlling me. And I stop worrying about it then. I think it works too. Like, it already feels different. I know, this is dumb. This is dumb. I told myself I didn't have to post this, but I at least had to record it. And I didn't really have a plan. It was sloppy. And I feel like the punchline wasn't even that good. But still, I did it. And yeah, so I want to look for the ways that I can actually make those things happen. Like, get embarrassed, get rejected, fail, do those things, seek them out, want them, kind of will them into existence. And if I'm seeking them out, then they stop having that power over me. And that's a really cool concept. All right. Thank you, and my apologies, but not really. Sorry, not sorry.